Grading for equity coming to all San Francisco high schools this fall. This looks grim. District materials highlight a decrease in A grades for more privileged students. This is dark woke. This might actually be dark woke. My read on this, just like at a glance, is that this is like what happens when a very small fringe group of idiot progressives get their hands on the education system and make everything worse for everyone. Without seeking approval of the San Francisco Board of Education, Superintendent of Schools Maria Su plans to unveil a new grading for equity plan on Tuesday that will go into effect this fall at 14 high schools and cover over 10,000 students. The school district is already negotiating with an outside consultant, of course, to train teachers in August in a system that awards a passing C grade to as low as a score of 41 on a 100-point exam. Man, we really do not want to leave any children behind, huh? You know what's definitely going to lead to the material improvement in the lives of black youth in San Francisco? Letting them graduate after getting a 41 in the class. I'm not American. Can you tell me what a passing score is usually? 60 is gets you a D, 70 gets you a C. Usually D is passing, but it depends. Sometimes it's a little persnickety, but usually 60% or higher is you bet. 59 or lower is F. But it varies, but you know, whatever. That's the ballpark. 69 was an F for me. There's a lot of variance, okay? There's a lot of variance. And we're talking about high school here. My school had a policy where any assignment had a 50% floor, meaning doing nothing meant a 45% grade in the whole class. No child left behind, I guess. Jesus. Keep in mind, all of this is because we pay teachers nothing. We give schools nothing. And schools lose federal funding if children fail. So the incentive then is not to teach students better, but rather just never fail them no matter what. So subliterate children can be passed up from grade to grade, even though they couldn't read like the description in the back of a Gatorade bottle. Were it not for an intrepid school board member, the drastic change in grading with implications for college admissions and career readiness would have gone unnoticed and unexplained. It is buried in a 3-word phrase on the last page of a PowerPoint presentation embedded in the school board meeting's 25-page agenda. The plan comes during the last week of the spring semester while parents are assessing the impact of over $100 million in budget reductions, yeesh, and deciding whether to remain in the public schools this fall. While the school district acknowledges that parent aversion to this grading approach is typically high and understands the need for vigilant communication, outreach to parents has been minimal and may be non-existent. The school district's Office of Equity homepage does not mention it, and a page containing the San Francisco United School District definition of equity has not been updated in almost 3 years. Okay, let's check our definitions real quick. Office of Equity. Make sure nobody's racist. That's great. Okay. And then here's 2025. Here, that was the grading for equity plan. So this is the PowerPoint then? This is the PowerPoint they were looking at? Initiatives, grading for equity. Percent of grading for equity coach teachers, students receiving a C or better for each marking period. Okay, so I guess that's the little mention of it at the end. That'd be my guess. Okay, grading for equity eliminates homework or weekly tests from being counted in a student's final semester grade. All that matters is how the student scores in a final examination, which can be taken multiple times. Multiple times. Students can be late turning in an assignment or not showing up to showing up to class or not showing up at all without it affecting their academic grade. Currently, a student needs a 90 for an A and at least a 61 for a D. Under San Leandro Unified School District's grading for equity system touted by the San Francisco Unified School District and its consultant, a student with a score of as low as 80 can attain an A, and as low as 21 can pass with a D. That's answering at random on a 4-choice, multiple-choice question. That's if you just answer B for every one. That's 25% right there. Sheesh. 40 if you pick C. That's true. Joe Feldman, the consultant in the school district's the consultant the school district plans to contract with to implement grading for equity, wrote in 2019 that in Placer County, another jurisdiction with the grading system, quote, students who did not qualify for free or reduced price lunch had a sharper decrease in A's, reflecting how traditional grading practices disproportionately benefited students with resources because of the inequitable inclusion of extra credit and other resource-dependent grading criteria. So they literally grade you worse if you're privileged? Yeah, how is that the conclusion that you arrive at? Like, yeah, people with more resources get more A's. obviously. So what we did was we lowered their grades. Now everyone gets C's. Okay. Harrison Bergeson type shit? No kidding. Type shit. Grading for equity may reduce A and D or F grades, and according to Feldman, enable a school district to cut costs for remedial classes. Oh! Ah! There we go. There we go. Of course. Because why would you need to spend money on remedial classes when everyone passes no matter what? Obviously, right. Those are expensive. No extra support for people who need it, you know. There we go. Yeah, we experienced a 100% decrease in people who needed remedial classes. It turns out that once you make 0% a passing grade, what's a remedial class? Short bus class, you know. The most recent data from both middle schools in San Leandro, where grading reform started in 2016, documents significance and continued... Wait, I'm sorry. Is it me or is it the sentence? The most recent data from both middle schools in San Leandro, where grading reform started in 2016, documents significant continued disparities among student populations when it comes to performance on statewide assessment tests. In both English and mathematics, the gaps ranged from twice to triple to even 4 times as many students meeting or exceeding the statewide standard in some subgroups compared to others. Okay, so this exacerbates performance differences. Obviously. Because they're not actually fixing the problem with some students having more resources than others. They're actually exacerbating it by removing remedial classes for the dumb kids. The children needing the most help and improvement are not getting it. This is just too over the top. Are we sure this is a reliable publication? Well, given how bad American school system is anyway, it makes sense to me that people would be gutting the corpse like this a little bit. This is a particularly crazy one, though. Look up the Mississippi Miracle. It helped a lot with their literacy rates. Yeah, they started teaching phonics again. What's that saying? Whenever there's a metric to judge efficacy, the focus becomes manipulating the metric. Yep. A metric once measured ceases to become a useful metric. As soon as you start to evaluate or judge for any metric, the entire system will bend over backwards to maximize it, regardless of whatever other outcomes you were looking to achieve. Yeah, and that's the elimination of remedial classes is going to do so much to hurt people. Is there any more on this, or is this just like there's got to be some local news talking about it? Okay, hold on. Let me see. San Francisco grading for equity. Well, here's a Newsweek article, though I will admit consistently Newsweek has been putting out better articles than the New York Times. So, you know, if I showed up a New York Times article, people are like, "Oh, it's the New York Times," but they're worse than Newsweek now, you know? I just repeated myself. Removing zeros for missed assignments and awarding a minimum of 50% for any reason. Awarding a minimum of 50% for any, quote, reasonably attempted work. Can somebody explain to me the philosophy behind this? Like, genuinely, what is the point of issuing any kind of testing or work or evaluating anything if it's all participation trophy shit? Like, genuinely, what are you trying for? You're not even grading on attendance. I don't know if this is that bad. Dude, it's American high school. Do you have any idea how easy this shit is? Yeah, they dump a lot of homework on you, granted, but like in terms of what you're being tested for, like Americans are not, we're not held to very high standards. And a lot of that is just because like the incentive is make sure as many people pass as possible. It doesn't matter if they're subliterate. Again, like the vast majority of Americans are high school graduates, but over half are 6th grade literacy level or lower. Like, how do you get that? You know? Supporters of the policy says it better reflects real student learning by de-emphasizing behavior-based penalties like late work or missed assignments. That's important! That's important! Attendance is actually really important. I'm not going to defend, like, homework as a concept, because the way we implement homework is pretty dumb. Vivek was right. Vivek was right. It's time to emphasize learning over effort. Prioritizing learning is exactly what equitable grading does. It does the opposite. It recognizes the individual journey of every student and acknowledges we all learn differently at our own pace and in various ways. But it does the opposite. How does it emphasize learning if you get a 50% just for like reasonably attempting work? How does that, like, that doesn't prioritize learning at all? If anything, it prioritizes neither learning nor effort. It doesn't seem to prioritize either. You don't have to learn and you don't have to show up. The fact that the school board was not given a formal vote on this policy, despite it being like incredibly transformative, is extremely wild. Oh, according to the San Francisco Standard, they're apparently delaying the invocation of the policy, probably because of the huge backlash, which thank God, new mayor freaked out. Good. I feel for her. The superintendent, nah, her. She tried to push this through without even a vote, just quietly sneak it in the last slide of a 25 slide PowerPoint, I bet you she's just looking to get the bag and sneak in an easy win where she can brag about no dropouts or failures in her classes because everyone just gets a free A. No, I have no respect for superintendents as a matter of principle, but especially her. Every superintendent across America right now is scheming to find ways to get the best report card from the federal government while teaching as little as possible or directing as few resources as possible to their actual schools and teachers. Her husband's probably the executive of a textbook publisher. You know what? Maria Sue, superintendent. Dr. Sue oversees the district's $1.2 billion budget and almost 9,000 employees. An incredibly powerful person. Living here to San Francisco with her husband and 2 sons. Of course she'd have sons. No, that's not what I'm mad at her for. Who's her husband? Oh, she was only just made superintendent. For the past 15 years, Dr. Sue has served as executive director of the San Francisco Department of Children, Youth, and Their Families at the head of DCYF. Yeah. Okay. I want to know whether this is her being like authentically a woke lunatic, or if this is some kind of cynical, like federal budget report card thing. It's San Francisco, to be fair, so it could be either, yeah. Dr. Sue will remain a city employee as the superintendent does not need to be an SFUSD employee. A memorandum of understanding between SFUSD and the city and county of San Francisco, where the city will release Dr. Sue to serve as superintendent under the direction of the Board of Education. So she's serving a dual role? She's just taking a leave from the original position? She's not actually leaving it? That seems a little odd, but I don't know enough about the details to really say.
Signs of hope for San Francisco schools today, fighting to prevent school closures.
This district, like most, is working through many challenges.
Oh, sorry, it autoplayed. I don't have my earbuds in. Well, if any of you find something juicy to validate my preconceived biases, please toss it my way. In the meantime, I'm going to continue to look at this, okay? She made a statement 11 minutes ago. Yes! Okay, so SFUSD pauses equity grading plan after furious backlash. Immediate wave of online criticism, including from Silicon Valley Rep. Ro Khanna, Mayor Daniel Lurie, and many parents who argued the district is deprioritizing academic rigor. Proposal ridiculous, embarrassing. She said she would pause the initiative due to concerns and misinformation. The plan has its defenders. Anastasia Klafter, principal of Independence High School, supports the initiative. I don't have an issue with like transforming standards, but like, okay, for one, you cannot refrain from penalizing students for missed classes, because every student will just smoke weed in the bathroom if you aren't penalizing them for missing a class. You cannot do that. They already do. Yeah, I know, but you don't want to make it worse. Well, you need to dial the homework way down, okay? You need to pay the teachers a lot more, okay? A lot of teachers aren't even showing up to class anymore, because why would they? Everyone's stupid anyway. Doesn't seem to make a difference. You need to take all the phones away in class. No phones, no electronic devices at all. If you want to fuck around in class, you have to do it the way I did, which is doodling in the notebook. I don't know, like, I'm in favor of transformative change, but the idea of like, yeah, you get a 50% by default as long as you tried, that is insane. Take on truancy cops. You know what's fucked up? I kind of support it. I'm sorry, I'm with Kamala on this one. I know that there's some like negative externalities there, but like, what are you supposed to do if the kids don't show up and then the parents don't care? You know, like past a point, you gotta do something about that. Kids gotta be in school. Yeah, if you want to make it like a truancy social worker thing, that's fine by me. I'm not saying it has to be a cop, but the underlying principle, the idea of a parent being held responsible because they're not doing anything to facilitate their child's education, this should be done in tandem with stuff to make it more possible, right? Like expanding school bus routes or whatever. But like, yeah, no, the kid has to go to school, sorry. And if the parent doesn't give a shit, then your ass is getting sent to the oubliette. Even when the schools are failing? Yeah, because like even if the schools are failing, it's better to have kids at school than like running around being truants. You have any idea how like socially damaging it is to have kids just running around city streets? Like at 11 a.m. or whatever? What are they up to? I don't know. Probably crime? Some kind of crime? You don't want that. Yeah, you don't want a bunch of kunos running amok. Oi, mate! And throwing shoes at people. Whatever happened to after-school clubs? Listen, this is America, not Japan, okay? Kuno doesn't care. Kuno doesn't want to go to school. School's bullshit. Yeah, exactly. Should we get rid of online schools as well? Well, online schools shouldn't be like the default option. That should be for like, I don't know, kids who explode if they go outside or something. Shouldn't be the default. I found her husband. He's an angel investor and CEO of Munchery. Is that true? James Barraker, Silicon Valley-based tech entrepreneur. Are they married? I don't think they're married. I think this is just another unrelated guy. Because I Googled James Barraker wife, and it says that he's got 4 daughters, but she's got 2 sons. It doesn't really matter. Why are you giving me a LinkedIn link? You think I'm logged into LinkedIn? You think I have a LinkedIn? Wait, I thought you were pro kids just being off like Ed, and Eddie type thing? Yeah, like after school. They still have to go to school. Haven't you seen season 2 of Ed, and Eddie? They went to school, and then they f***ed around after school. We hold every SFUSD student to high standards. Our goal is to support student success by prioritizing learning and mastery. It's clear there are a lot of questions, concerns, and misinformation with this proposal. We want to make sure any changes benefit our students. I've decided not to pursue this strategy. I can't trust her when she snuck this in and was going to implement it without a vote. Like, if this wasn't some sneaky way of like reducing failures to 0, why the f was she so quiet about it? Why would you just like introduce it at the meeting with no vote and then like, oh, yep, it's going through, you know? Like what, like you clearly didn't expect the backlash here, you know? Vosh, I graduated San Leandro High School in 2012. While I was there, the test scores were so bad we almost lost state funding, and I think it's related to that. Yeah, exactly, but that's doing the opposite of the good thing, where the superintendent is like, holy shit, we almost lost funding. We better make sure nobody ever fails again. Okay, let's change the definition of failing. Like, rather than actually improving anything for anyone, you know? I'm telling you, man, teach the phonics to the young ones, okay? Take away all the phones. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like there has to be some kind of truancy cop stuff. What the f are you talking about, nuts? Phonics is important? Yeah. That was the same for all public schools I went to in California, lol. They're all always about to lose funding. Average truancy, California. On average, students with any absences missed 17 days in 2021 to 2022. That's a lot. But that's also like during COVID. Chronic absenteeism. In 2021 to 2022, 30% of students in California's public schools were chronically absent. Holy shit, dude. That is crazy. I missed like 80 plus days during my last school year. You shouldn't do that. Student-specific reasons for missing school are varied. Lack of transportation is among the most common reasons. See, this is the thing, right? Like, this is where, because sometimes it is the parents being shit, you know? We have to make getting to the school easier, but like, there are a lot of parents who just don't care. Parents being shit or just unable. Okay, I understand that there's like a need there, but at the same time, it is your job as a parent. It's more important than your job to get your kid to school. If you're a parent and your kid misses school because you didn't want to wake up earlier to drive them over, we're putting you in the device. The truancy cops are gonna get you, and they're gonna put you in the device, and I won't mourn it, okay? I'm not gonna mourn you. That's your job as a parent. That shit's very important. Your kid is running around doing whippets on the pothole-ridden street of the shit-ass neighborhood you live in rather than going to school, and it's all because you wouldn't wake up earlier, okay? Same problem here in Portland, Oregon. State absenteeism is almost 36%. God. Students in Oregon are considered regular attenders if they show up for more than 90% of the days they're enrolled, and chronically absent if they don't. That seems fair to me. That sucks at my cognizant. Yeah. LA. At PBS, 15,544 students were chronically absent last year, making the district's rate 36.9%. Jesus. Well, this is just absenteeism. What about like actual test performance? California school average test performance. We always compare states to other states, but like, what about in an absolute sense? Like, what if you compared like the average high school graduate in America to the average like high school graduate in France or something? K-12 students, look at this. English learning, mathematics, and science. 40.6% are at a level 1 for mathematics, inconsistent grade level knowledge and skills. Do you know how low this bar is? This is not South Korea, okay? Do you have any idea how low this bar is? How is science worse? Science is better because at least they have like a foundational. They know what like igneous rocks are or something. The percentages of California students meeting or exceeding standards, demonstrating proficient or advanced grade level knowledge and skills in ELA, mathematics, and science increased from 46.7% to 47% in ELA. Yippee! 34.6% to 35.5% in math, and 30.2 to 30.7% in science. Nice. So less than half for all categories. Do you remember what an igneous rock is? Nope. Isn't igneous when it's made like from volcanic activity or something? Yeah? Okay, sweet. What a terrible time for ChatGPT to become a thing. Yeah, it's only gonna get worse, by the way. Like, this is all largely pre-Chat GPT influence. Overall test results. Standards not met or nearly met is orange, and standards met or exceeded is green. Across the board, it's less than half. We're only facing decline, not terminal decline. Yes, Mississippi's reading scores went up when they started teaching phonics again, rather than like the like holistic language model of early teaching. But that doesn't really, like, that's part of it. My little brother's still in high school, and he tells me that like 70% of his AP literature class uses it to summarize, read, write, and analyze all their assignments. What do you mean by that? Summarize, read, write, and analyze all their assignments? Isn't that like doing work? What's missing there? You mean like they're not reading? Oh, uses it like ChatGPT. I thought you meant it is in the 70% of your time. Okay, yeah. Whoa, that's grim. AI cheating is so out of hand that in America's schools that the blue books are coming back. Good. All testing should be done with pen and paper, in a room with teachers glaring at you, or at least a room without an internet connection. Yeah, they need to make every school a Faraday cage. Anyway, yeah, it does seem that the path we're on for the most part right now is more like, well, what if we redefined failure rather than addressing it?